Here's our property in northwest Alabama. That's our tree line. And it's mainly dead, but we didn't know it because it was winter when we moved in. All of these trees on the right are dead. The couple on the left are still alive, and my husband doesn't want to take them down yet. So we just trimmed them up as neat as could be, took out the dead ones, and we're left with this, a little stand of trees with a temporary firewood fence down below. But what do you do with all that brush? Well, what we did is we piled it over on the other side of our property. And this is as tall as our privacy fence. And you can't even see Rod over on the other side working with the chainsaw. But what we're going to do is trim up all of these sticks and branches and limbs, and we're going to use them to make a fence panel. And I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like yet. We'll bring you along for that. But we are basically going to be processing this huge pile of brush into the building blocks of a future fence. In the meantime, what do you do with all this? Well, we decided to stack it. And we're going to create a stacked fence along the field that runs on the south side of the property. My plan was initially just to take all this brush and stack it up between our driveway and the fence line, the field. But it just was going to be too unkempt looking. It was going to be too wide. It just was not going to look right. So I decided you have to process all of these sticks and limbs and branches, and that takes a long time. But with two of us working, we had an electric chainsaw, and Rod's on the other side with the big chainsaw, and we're just gonna stick by stick process all of this wood down. Now, just because a tree looks dead doesn't mean that all the juices in the tree are gone. And what we found was branches that we thought would just break off were still somewhat green. And so we did have to cut most of these little twigs off piece by piece by piece, or pull them off or cut them off, whatever. We just had to remove them because we wanted the wood all to go in one direction. So we wanted it to be relatively flat and straight. And so that took a little bit of time. It took a lot of time. It took 3 8-hour days. That's between the two of us. Rod kind of messed up his thumb the first time, and so he wasn't able to work a full day the rest of the time. But here we have decided that we're going to lay out our stacked wood fence, and we're going to use part of the wood to be the post. Rod's put a sharp end on them, and we're going to pound them in with our sledgehammer and our post pounder. And then we're just going to get to work processing all of these branches. Now, unfortunately, we did not want to burn, but we had to. There was just too much debris that would have been created. It would have taken us a year to get rid of all of the excess debris. So a lot of this green that you see in the pile, we do end up burning. And then just all the little twigs and stuff, it's just easier to burn it. Another option would have been to rent a big chipper. And if I was looking for wood chips, this would have been awesome to have all of these branches go into a wood chipper and end up with a nice big pile. However, I was more interested in fencing materials than wood chips on this particular project. So you'll see over on the left side there that the stacked wood fence is about, knee high at this point. And we are trying to just keep a pretty clean work environment as we go along. So you'll see me periodically pick up the rake and just get a couple little piles and then put the piles into the burn barrel. Now, each of these branches I'm trying to interweave with the other branches. And guys, the funny thing was, overnight, this particular night, we had about a ½ inch of rain, and we came out the next morning and the fence was completely collapsed, and it was about this tall. So at this point it's up to mid-thigh. So we came in the next day. This is the next day after cleaning up, and we pounded some green tea post over there, and then I did front the green tea post with a couple branches just to make it look prettier. I think I need to do some more of that, but it's kind of cool looking for now, I think. So this is what we had left after that huge work day, and the pile is definitely smaller, but there's still a lot of material. And here's a look at the fence. There's a couple piles in front of this fence. Here's one down below there. And then right here's another pile. And you can see how I've tried to weave the pieces of wood between the fence post and then to kind of secure them. The next day we added more T-post and went down to that next tree because we certainly had enough branches to fill that in. And then I've still got piles of sticks. Here's after we're all done cleaning up. But you can see actually this is two good sized piles in front of this fence. And you can tell we've gone down to that second tree now. But there's a pile there in front. Here's a look at the fence. Looking down. I'm very happy with how it turned out. It will look much better without these piles in front of it. But I'm going to take these piles and then stack them around my compost area and my dirt pile. Just again to kind of delineate between the tow lot behind us to kind of mask all the cars back there. And also this is going to create a little bit of a screen for the chemical overspray that happened in the spring where it killed our raspberries, and it really did a number on the lilac. But the lilac seems to be bouncing back, so that's a good thing. Look at all this fence building material. Isn't that wonderful? I can't wait to get started on that. So yeah, I've got lots of piles. Here's the small twiggy stuff that's all, again, going to be future fence making material, fence panel making material. And there's the look of the finished stacked wood fence. I'm very happy with how that turned out. What I'm not happy is, sitting in my little seat on the carport, I can still see cars over on the neighbor's property. So we are going to stick this was $175 for basically 3 8-foot sections of fence, and we dug the holes the day before. Today we're going to get the post set, and then we're going to let it cure for, I think we waited 4 days before we went ahead and did the other cross members. So we just dry poured, and I added water from the watering cans in between, got everything nice and saturated, used a pry bar to get it all mixed together and then tamped down into the hole. And I just did that until the holes were full. And we're going to repeat that for all 3. I think we let it cure for 4 days before we started with the cross members, and here it is with the pickets all in place. Now the property slants both directions, north and south, or I should say it slants north. We've kind of made the fence to follow the slant of the property, and I'm happy with that. Rod didn't think it looked 100% right, but I think it looks just fine. Looks better than looking at cars. So how'd we do, guys? Let us know what you think in the comments, and join us again when we start working on the fence panels. Bye.